that is interesting and has always been assisting in ensuring you get things done ASAP. So tonight we want to look at how it's going to also be useful for us as researcher, as a student of postgraduates, as people who are trying to make research and all. So what are the benefits? What are the beauty of it? How can we explore the opportunities in it? That is what the topic is going to be all about. And we have in our midst a scholar par excellence who is going to do that for us. That is Dr. Umar Adam Ibrahim. Is going to be our facilitator for tonight. So I'm going to, I don't know if Dr. Umar is here with us. I want to believe he's here with us.
Yes.
So I'm just going to, okay, you're welcome, sir. So I just want to read a short bio of you, then I will hand over the invisible mic to you, sir. So Dr. Umar Adam Ibrahim is a PhD, he has a PhD in computer science from Nile University of Nigeria, Abuja, and he's a lecturer at the Department of Software Engineering at the same university. I'm sure he's a scholar by excellence in this field. So please let us be attentive. Let's get our pens, our tools to jot all information that is going to dish out to us tonight. Once again, the topic is exploring AI tool for academic research. Dr. Umar, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction. Let me see if I can share my screen. Can you allow me share my screen?
Admin.
Okay, you can share your screen now.
Please confirm if you can see my screen.
We can see, sir.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Once again, good evening all, or good morning and good afternoon to those joining from outside the country. My name is Umar Adam, and I'm going to be your facilitator for today's program, which is exploring AI tool for academic research, right? So before I fully start, I would like to ask questions. So you don't have to like unmute yourself, just with the raise of hand. If we've heard of ChatGTP, just wave using the emoji on the app. Like anybody, we've heard of ChatGTP before? Yes. Okay. Is that all? I'm expecting more. Okay, perfect. I've heard of Googlebot, the Googlebot. You can use another thumb up. Perfect. So like, yeah, we are all in the same, what do you call it? We're all aligned. Yeah. We've had the breaking news regarding ChatGTP, the whole invention. We've tested it in one way or the other. So the reality is that AI is here to stay, which is the fact of the whole AI world. The most important part is, are we there? That means meaning using AI to do the right thing or not, right? Another thing is that AI is not going to take away our job, most especially researchers and other people along the line. It's going to displace some job, which is quite the fact. But then it's people that uses AI that are going to take our job. Now we're talking about being very fast. We're talking about accuracy. We're talking about having like a 99% perfect content. So you not leveraging on AI, the amount of time you spend compared to the person that uses AI, it's quite different. The gap is huge. So let's go through this together and we see what we're supposed to do. So AI is changing virus industry, and the academia is not an exception in this very particular regard. Today we'll dive into how AI tool can enhance academic research, streamline processes, and provide valuable insight on what we do. What are AI tools? So these tools cover so many area of whatever we do. The goal is to mimic the human intelligence, starting with the neural network as an algorithm on its own. So now, under this very particular tool, we have the machine learning algorithm, we have the natural language processing, and we have the computer vision and more. So let me talk more about natural language processing. This kind of the center of my own research with major focus on speech recognition. We've heard of large language model. Basically, ChatGPT and BARD and other two out there are large language model. It comprises of huge amount of text at the back end, right? And these very particular texts are trained to mimic the human intelligence. You ask a question, a reply back to you based on the information stored in the database. There's a particular job out there called prompt engineering. The ability for you to even ask the right question, it's another issue on its own. So we have prompt engineers. Is a new area of specialization, and there are so many courses out there for you to become a prompt engineer, meaning knowing what to even ask this very particular tool is very important, and it's very necessary. And in the context of academic research, AI tool can aid in what? Data analysis. The amount of time we spend before, even before the arrival of AI, before now, I remember, for people to run survey, they get sheet of paper, they print the paper, they give it out. After distributing the paper, you collect back the paper, you retype the same thing maybe in Excel, or you do the analysis manually. Then we have the arrival of Google form and then the Microsoft form. You input your questions there, you pass it to people, and it does some few analysis for you. You just download the Excel sheet or the CSV file and rerun any analysis you want to do. But then now with AI, you can do data analysis. That is where prompt engineering come into play. You just input your data, type in whatever visual you want to see, and it does that for you in seconds. Literature review. Before now, we have to download literature, and not just only download it, you have to like read the abstract, read some part of the paper, get to understand if this very paper is related or relevant to your work. But with the current AI tool, you put in your area of work and it suggests literature to you. And that's what we call the LIPS map. It maps everything for you. It reduces the amount of time we spend in searching for literature. Then hypothesis generation. You can just type in the question, ask this very particular app to create hypothesis for you, and it's going to suggest hypothesis you can use, right? So for data analysis, one of the key areas where AI excels is in the data analysis. AI algorithm can process vast amount of data much faster than human. And basically for two we can use for analysis and visualization. We have the scikit-learn, we have the TensorFlow, we have R with the tidyverse library. These are libraries you just call. You input your data, you call this library, you run a particular code, and it does the analysis for us in few minutes, seconds, right? The next is the literature review aspect, which is the aspect we spend huge amounts of time. For anybody that have written any work before, we spend our time gathering literature, reading through this very particular literature, extracting information from this very particular literature, then writing the literature review and also finding out the gap. There is chat PDF. You are just chatting with your PDF. You just upload the PDF. You type in questions. You'll be talking to the PDF and it will be responding. Find the gap in this very particular paper. It runs through the whole PDF and tells you the gap in the work. What's the contribution of this very particular paper? It runs through everything and tells you the contribution. So AI too can automate and enhance the literature review process. That is the goal, to reduce the amount of time we spend in reading, writing, jotting, extracting information. It's a tool like every other tool, depending on how we use it, right? We know I'll come to that very particular space where we talk about ethics. So AI tool are tool like every other tool. The same way we allow students to go into physics exam with a calculator or any math exam with calculator. So AI is a tool, but I know we can't allow students to go into the hall with phone, right? They'll just type into ChatGPT and get the complete answer. But what we're saying is that is a tool like every other tool. We just have to be responsible as we use this very particular tool. The whole research ethics still remain the same thing. The whole referencing, the whole acknowledging the owner of the work still remain the same thing. But then we have a tool that will help in structuring whatever we do. And if time permits, we run some sample together and see what we can achieve with this very particular tool. So in this very particular note for literature review, we have this very tool. I have a list of two at the tail end, but these are just sampled. We have a semantic scholar and we have the Irish.ai, which utilizes NLP, which is the natural language processing to help researchers discover relevant literature efficiently. So now, instead of random search, random looking for literature, you can efficiently look for literature related to a particular work, right, without spending huge amount of time. And then next we have the hypothesis generation. So now you ask the AI, okay, this is the topic you're working on and you need this to suggest hypothesis for you. And you can limit the number 3, 4, 5, and you get this very particular sample hypothesis. It's for you to see if that's aligned to the overall goal of your own work. And we have tools like elicit.org and researchrabbit.ai or Lumiverse to do that for you, okay, or for us entirely. Then the most important part, yeah, when you are using the AI tool, nobody's seeing you, nobody's watching you, but then the ethical consideration is very, very important. The research ethics remains valid, notwithstanding which AI tool you are using. But then we just have to be responsible, and that has to do with individual. Okay, nobody is policing you, nobody is checking, but then as you use this very particular tool, we have to be responsible and we have to apply each and every ethics in this very particular regard. It has numerous benefits and essentially to consider ethical implication. Issue like what? Data privacy, algorithm bias, transparency need to be addressed. And also what? We just have to ensure that AI tools are used responsible and ethical in what? In our academic endeavor. Nobody is there to supervise us. Nobody is there to see when we're using this tool. But then we be responsible, abiding to each and every ethics that is applicable to the research space is very, very important. I'm emphasizing on this because once we get this very particular tool, we might end up misusing or abusing the way we use the tool. So being responsible is our responsibility. Next case studies, let's look at some real world example of how AI tools have been employed in academic research. So we can use a deep learning algorithm to analyze medical image data for disease diagnosis. We can also apply NLP techniques to analyze public opinion from social media data for sociology research. We're talking about sentiment analysis. You just get those very sentiments, upload it into a particular app, and it's going to give you the sentiment, not like before where you have to do the analysis manually yourself. We can also utilize predictive model to forecast environmental trend based on what? Based on climate data. Very easy. You just upload the data set. In terms of design, we have Midjourney and other design tools that we can use to create a perfect design for whatever we are doing. Right? Before now, we just have to do that manually with our hand and others. The future outlook. Well, the field of AI in academic research is rapidly changing with new tools and techniques continually being developed. Yeah, there are a huge amount of work in this very particular space, almost every day. And like we tend to even get lost, which of the two are we supposed to use? Get the one that will work for you and stick to that. And the most important is just to get an insert, a draft of what you want to do. You can leverage on each and every AI tool out there. There are so many of them. There are the free version and the paid version. But then just pick what works for you and what you're comfortable with. As the AI technology advances, researchers can expect even greater capability in data analysis, knowledge discovery, and collaboration. And it is very, very important for us to stay updated on the latest AI advance. and incorporating in whatever we do as research practitioners. Now I'll be unveiling some tools we can use based on what this very particular tool do. So however, for literature search and discovery, you can use the site.ai. We can use Semantic Scholar. We can use connected papers. This is going to connect your papers for you. For data analysis and visualization, we can use the ScienceKit Learn. We can use TensorFlow. We can use R with this very particular library. For hypothesis generation and experimentation, we can use lsc.org, researchrabbit.ai. And then for scientific writing and editing, we can use Trinker, Grammarly, Qbot for paraphrasing. And for project organization and collaboration, if you want to organize your project or work with other people, it's either we use Zotero, Notion, and other collaboration tool out there. And more to this very particular tool. So for search, we can use Bing AI, right? From Microsoft, what do you call it? Company under the Microsoft browser, which is the Edge browser. Once you go to Bing AI, it allows you to do so many things. You can ask questions like you are chatting with the browser. Useful for searching, reading articles, describing images, extracting data from PDF, and more. Then we have the science space, useful for chatting with papers. It's just like you chatting with somebody, you'll be chatting with a PDF, and you can upload as many PDF as possible. And understanding mathematical expression, it also has a paraphrasing tool. Research Rabbit, free tool for finding and organizing academic papers. GLAMS, useful for highlighting, taking notes, and getting AI-powered summaries. Then we have the Google Bard, useful for searching and generating text, among other things. And we have Semantic Scholar, we have GTP 3.5, language model that can summarize, rewrite, and generate a text, among others. Then we have the LLAM, that is what do you call the large language model. 27B, a generated text model, optimized dialogue cues, and so many down to 20. So these are things we can use for our research work. And the goal is just to ease the amount of time we spend in doing this very particular research. And once you see remain the same thing, the ethic aspect and being responsible as we use this very particular technology out there. We just have to be responsible. Okay, so we can use leverage on this very particular tool. We have the Insight AI, useful for hypothesis generation, clinical trial design, and more. We have Consensus, answer questions based on academic research, elicit an AI research assistant that finds and summarizes relevant paper, check citations, and analyze credibility of sources. Perplexity AI, search engine using scholarly and other credible sources. We have Arish, it suggests relevant literature for research. DeepL, useful for translating 31 languages and rewriting text that is in English and German with AI. Glider, useful for transcription of lectures, seminars. PaperPal, AI grammar checker, an online academic writing tool. Scholarly, online article summarizer tool, connected papers, and it connects all paper related to a particular work you are doing. Some of these very apps are free, some are paid. Some you have the free, the freemium version where you can use, but it has limited amount of tools you can use if you're using the freemium version or the trial version, while the paid version allows us to do so many things. While in conclusion, AI tools hold an immense potential to change academic research by leveraging on AI algorithm for data analysis, literature review, and hypothesis generation. Researchers can enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of their work. However, ethical consideration must be prioritized to ensure responsible use of AI in academia. It's very, very important. And for this very particular work, these are just directly the reference I use, which is the ChatGTP and the Bard. Before we do Q&A, I'm going to share my screen again so we can see this very particular tool. So I just opened this. I don't know. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see the browser.
We can see it clearly.
Yes. Okay. So I just opened this before we start. So like so with this, so this GTP, this GTP 3.5, which is the free version. So what you can do as a prompt engine, let's say you have a topic that has to do with AI in education. So what you do is just put drafts, an outline for a research paper on AI for education. You just click enter and you just wait. So title leveraging artificial intelligence, and it's going to create an outline for you with things you are expected to put under. So let's say, okay, you have the introduction part, a brief overview of AI in education, like you need to talk about a brief overview of AI in education, importance and relevance of AI in modern education, purpose of the paper. So now, like before, you just have to do the thinking yourself, or you pick a template or sample. Now you have what you are expected to put under introduction. While the next part and the title is what? The role of AI in education, and you have the subsection under this. Definition and explanation, current application. You go next to the next title, case study. You put some case study of AI implementation in education, and down to the end, which is the conclusion, right? And you have option. Do you like this? You can respond by saying, okay, this is a bad sample, or this is a good a sample. Is just a draft of what you can do. And the next question you can ask was suggest, most especially if you're using GTP4 upward, that is the paid version. It's connected to the internet, right? So suggest relevant for GTP 3.5. At times it gives you wrong reference. Suggest relevant literature. So you can see it's going to suggest these are just what do you call it, relevant literature you can use, and you can put the number. It gave 8, I can put 10, 15, blah 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 blah, and this very particular reference. Why this another AI tool we can use, which is the Google, but the same process. You create an account using your Gmail, and I think I wrote this before. We saw research paper outline AI for education. This is the question. Create an outline for a research paper on AI for education, and you can see, okay, introduction, literature review, methodology, finding and result, discussion and implication, conclusion. There may be some additional section, and you can click on this and it take you what do you call it, to the website. For those that write code, like people that also write code, you can just create a code, a Python code. You can decide even the language. You can put in the language, right? Create let's say HTML code for a landing page. So yeah, as this, perfect. So for those that write code, you have this. We all know how, for those that write code, let's say HTML, you can create an HTML code. It's not a big deal, but to reduce the amount of time you spend, if I'm going to write this myself, it's going to take me 5-10 minutes, right? But with this, in less than 1 minute, what next? I will just copy this, move it to my code editor, and continue my work. So basically, it's a tool to what? To make us work more efficient. Then the next one that I open, I think, is the typeset. Okay, I think I'm still setting this up. As you say, you just pick academic, faculty, and researcher, depending on who you are. So what this allows you to do, this very particular space allows us to chat with our PDF. So let me upload a PDF and see. We just go to the library. And I have this very particular option, what? Upload PDF. I'll click on this. I hope I have a PDF close by. Download project. Not here. Okay. Web of Science. So I guess this is a paper. Let me pick this. Yeah, upload. So right, I've uploaded the paper. It gives you, what do you call it, questions, like it suggests questions for you to use, or you can click on Copilot so that you can ask your own question. So if I click on this, summarize abstracts, I will just wait. So you can see it it has just summarized the whole abstract Hausa visual genomes. It's a data set for multimodal English to Hausa machine translation. The data set contains a description of images in Hausa and their English equivalent, right? I can say, okay, method use. I just want to see the method they use. Okay, they use transformer model, they use open NMT, and they use word piece algorithm and ResNet at 50. What else? Okay, what's the limitation of this paper, which is something we always do. We want to find out the limitation. Low blue score reported in table 2, need for more appropriate metric to measure. What next? I can click on results to get the result of this very particular paper. What was the result? So this is the result of the paper. So you can drag to see whatever you want. The paper presents the Hausa visual genome, which is the HAVG data set. The data set contains 32,923 images and their description, right? So you see now with this is something that will take me like 30 minutes, depending on how fast you are in reading, 15, 30, and then depending on how slow you are. But with this, you can talk to the paper directly. But then I will still go back to ethics and responsibility. We just have to be responsible as we use this very particular work, and you can see with reference to whatever we do. So then finally, I think yes, so this BIM, what do you call it? BIM AI. I just put this literature review on Hausa NLP. Basically, most of the work I do is Hausa related. Is natural language processing for under-resourced language with major focus on Hausa language, both the text and the speech. So it's trying to generate message. So assume you want a literature review. So this is just a browser. So like the Edge browser, if you're using the Bing AI browser, it's more powerful compared to the Google search engine, because it allows you to interact with the whole browser, and you have a lot of suggestion from this very particular part. So in summary, like basically exploring the AI tool, we should definitely do that in one way or the other. So AI is here to stay. We like it, we don't like it. AI is here to stay. The best we can do is to understand this very particular technology, use the technology in a responsible manner, apply each and every ethics required and then necessary. With this, I've come to the end of the whole discussion. And thank you for your attention. And I'm open to any questions you may have. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. We really appreciate that. Audience, please feel free to appreciate Dr. Umar in the comment section. I'm sure we have all learned and we have been exposed to how AI can be used for project research and all, and paper writings and all. So feel free to appreciate Dr. Umar. While he was presenting, I'm sure he talked about AI is not going to take our job. I think this is one of the major major issue that a lot of people used to have, that are you sure AI is not going to take our job in the next few years or so? But I know he also mentioned something that it is only going to take the job of those who are using it or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So it depends on how you use it, what you use it for that matters, and how you are able to use it perfectly. Thank you very much for your line of thought and your message and sharing with us your knowledge. Jazakumullah khairan. A lot of people are also appreciating you. Thank you very much. So we go straightly into questions and answer. So if you have any question, please feel free to raise your hand up, and you can also share some of your questions on the chat box. I'm going to pick them and trash them out, inshallah. So do we have anybody raising his hands? Anybody? trying to see if anyone is raising up their hand. Okay, I think I saw TS. Sorry, who is TS? Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, salam alaikum. I think I lowered my hand eventually. I
Okay,
wanted to
okay.
ask a question before about that.
All right.
But thank you.
Okay. So you are okay, right?
But I can let me use the opportunity to appreciate our brother for the insight he's given all of us. It's interesting to know a bit of what the tool can do to ease the stress that some of the researchers go through. Okay, well, let me use the opportunity again to now go back to one question you raised about AI taking jobs. And the assurance that it's not going to take jobs it's a bit sketchy for me, because all the indications point to the fact that AI is going to take over some jobs. Maybe what we need to be emphasizing on what kind of skill set we need to train younger ones on. Maybe we'll be part of it at some point, but the younger ones coming up will probably benefit more. So they probably need to learn some skill sets to be able to deploy into development of AI. But I think, and I want to be corrected, I'm thinking that AI definitely is going to take over some jobs. And so I would like to be enlightened more on that, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Thank you very much.
So yeah, nobody is disputing the fact that AI is going to displace some job. It's just a known fact, and I made that clear at the beginning. That definitely AI is going to displace some job, and it's displaying even job. I don't know if you've seen the recent news. Google have laid off around 2,000 staff. Why? Because all those repetitive jobs will be done by AI. That is the fact. Another fact again is that AI is going to create new jobs. I talk about prompt engineering, right? Now we have a Play Store for AI application, the way you have a Google Store and App Store. And people are creating application, what do you call it, AI application, and they upload it to our App Store, right? So there are definitely job that will become obsolete as the whole thing continue. But then the key fact is that those using AI will be the people that will be taking the job of those people that are not using AI, right? Which is very, very important. So as you made mention of the young ones, I think we need to let them understand how to use this very particular technology in a responsible manner. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I got the point clearly now. So meaning those who are using the AI are the ones that will be taking the jobs of those who are not using AI. Thank you very much. So I think there is a message. There's a question here from Professor Jamila. As a supervisor, how do you discover that students just copied using AI without going to the field? I think this is is another interesting question.
As a lecturer, is something we face. But then, in this very part of the world, which is Nigeria, I think there is need to invest more on this very particular technology. Like in my own university, we have a paid Turnitin. So I supervise final year project. The instruction is that 0 AI in your report. We definitely know they're going to use AI, but they're going to paraphrase, they are paraphrasing too. But the rule is 0 AI. So what we do is upload this very particular text into this very particular Turnitin, check the amount of text generated by AI. As long as there's a bit of text from AI, it's a 0. So the goal is 0 AI. But then still, it's the fact is that it's a technology we cannot fight or ignore. There are other two again that will paraphrase text written by AI so that it sounds like a text written by human, right? It's removed the thought of AI. So you have a tool that identify AI written text, and you have a tool that will help you remove the AI written text, right? So it's a serious challenge, which we that lecture in university know that, okay, it's a serious challenge, but what do we do? Can you stop that? Can you fight that? I think maybe if we go the other route, I don't know which country, but what they did is that for each and every essay assignment, you have to come to the class, sit down, and you write the essay there. there's nothing like take-home assignment for AC because they get to understand students are using AI to help them write AC, and which we've seen so many results out there. So, Prof, I think we need those very particular tools so that we run the test, but then except if we ask the student to come and sit in our presence, write whatever they are writing there.
Thank you, Mal. Please, if you don't mind, what tool is that one that will remove the AI?
even let me also add, even the one that identifies the AI, can you also, talk about the apps that identify the
So
AI?
we have turned it in. Let me type that, turn it in. So let me check if I can Google it. So if you have the paid version, yeah, turn it in. You can, what do you call it, check for the AI. For the two that help you remove the human touch, you have keyboard. It rephrase, paraphrase whatever you do. And then even ChatGPT 4, you can ask it to write another text, removing plagiarism and removing the touch of AI, and it will do the same thing and give you back a new paper, a new text that if you run in a different space, it does not indicate the AI.
Okay, thank you very much. I think there's a question here too in the chat box. So Professor Muhammad is asking, don't we have other apps that can do all these apart from the AI tools? Perhaps if there are other apps that can do all this research that AI is doing aside from AI.
Other apps that is doing everything in one place. I'm trying to understand the question.
Maybe he can come up. But what I understand, I don't know if he's still on the call to say one or two things about the question. I don't know if he's still on the call.
So I think before the arrival of AI, the tools we used before are Mendeley, Zotero to gather our references, which is more of connecting your reference so that you can checkmate whatever you are doing. Then Microsoft Word, as you type, you can activate the reference option so that you align all the reference you are doing. So it's more of a manual work that we do. One, we have to read the paper ourselves. We have to do the knowledge extraction ourselves. We have to connect the dot ourselves. The only thing it does is just to align the reference for us and we can pull. But then, is there another tool apart from AI? I think it's AI for now that does almost everything without we doing or spending the time we spent before to read this very particular paper. For Professor Jamila, I know as a professor, when they did their PhD, even when I completed my PhD, which is not what do you call it, quite old, I had to do so many reading because those very tools are not there. But for people doing research now, I think they do less reading because they talk more to the paper, right? But then not AI tool, I really don't really have an idea, or I don't really understand the question.
Okay, thank you very much. So there's another question. How can researchers address potential biases in AI algorithm to ensure fair and equitable outcomes?
So the issue with the issue with bias with algorithm, it has to do with the data set. So one practical example is that the algorithm built, I think in US, I might be wrong, most especially for bank loan. Some complain that if you enter your information, because they do the screening automatically, if you enter your information, let's assume you are Black, you've been convicted before, it rejects your application. All right. So it has to do with the data set used in training that very particular model. If you pick GTP and you tend to ask questions related to let's say Hausa or Yoruba language, you don't really have a full information in that very particular contents. Why? Those data sets are largely English data set, not Hausa or Yoruba data set. So as a researcher, you work with the available data you have, and as much as possible as you collect those very data sets, you try to balance this very particular data set. And balancing data set, another thing again is that it's not in your hand, most especially for survey. You put out the survey and you expect people to enter that very particular information. So depending on the number of people or depending on the area you are able to reach, that determines the nature of the data. And biases always come from the data set even before the algorithm. So I think the data collection aspect is very, very important. You need to be as inclusive as possible in whatever data you are collecting, most especially if it has to do with sensitive information across so many, what do you call it, across so many across so many region or area of people. So bias is a serious issue regarding AI algorithm.
Thank you. I think we have one question here. I don't know if anybody is still raising up their hand for questions.
Yes,
Okay.
So maybe before somebody talk, I can say a question. I'm not clear about the ethical consideration. Ethical consideration as a researcher is that if you read a literature, you have to reference, you have to acknowledge the owner. You don't ask ChatGPT to write for you, pick it and claim, okay, this is your own word and this is your own work. So you have to, so that's what we're saying. You create the draft, you go get that very particular literature, you talk to this very particular literature. As you are writing your work, you reference the literature, all right? This, you can ask GPT-4 to write a complete paper for you with a literature, but you can't claim that that is your work because you did nothing. So what it is expected as a researcher is to apply the same ethic that is applicable as we do our research normally. You get the literature, you read through the literature, you what do you call it? You write based on your own understanding, using your own word as you are writing, and you reference that very particular literature you use. If it is a secondary data set, you make it clear this is a secondary data set. If it's a primary data set, you make it clear you seek consent from these very particular people and they agree you can work with this very particular data set. So the same ethic we use before now still remain valid by acknowledging and referencing whatever that does not belong to you and avoiding plagiarism. We all know the issue of plagiarism. I hope this is clear.
Yeah.
I have a question, please.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Zakum for the speech. We really appreciate it. If I may ask a question, my question lies on the but no, first and foremost, nobody denying what you said from the beginning of your, let me say what you said, the first paragraph or the first statement about the AI has come to stay. Nobody denying the facts, but the over dependency on this AI today, how do we control it in the issue of the loss of critical thinking, human intuition in research, most especially about the students we teach in the class? How do we control this with the AI, the use of AI?
How do we control this? Yeah, it's a very good question. It's something I'm trying to do. How do I control students from doing my assignments using AI? To be sincere, I don't have a direct answer to this. But then we had a program, and part of the discussion was the skills that I expected from student and even researcher is creativity and critical thinking. It's very, very important for we to apply creativity and critical thinking. So I think what we can do as lecturers, as academicians, most especially with students, is to emphasize more on the ethical aspect of whatever they do. That is being responsible as they use this very particular tool. We know definitely there's going to be irresponsible students or people that misuse this very particular tool. But I don't have a direct answer to the, okay, this is what we do to ensure that these students use the tool responsibly. Why? Because you spend a particular amount of time with them in school. and they go back home and they have access to internet, they have access to their laptop, they have access to their phone. How do you checkmate whatever they do? So the goal is to put in place this very particular infrastructure as an institution that we check most especially for written assignment and research, right? But also emphasizing the issue of ethics, the issue of being ethical in whatever we do. I think that we have. And then, or if we want to apply the other model of that very particular country, which I can't really remember, for written essay, you bring them to the class, you sit them down, and they have to write the essay there, right? So, but then things expected of us with the whole AI now is critical thinking, creativity. We have to push that. We have to push that because there's this very particular research. At the end of the day, AI will do chunk of the work. What humans will do is more of validating the work. Like you become a supervisor after the AI have done its own part, you check and see if it is okay or not. So you are more validating the work. So that's where creativity and critical thinking comes into play, and also empathy, right? AI does not have empathy. Some claim the upcoming 4 upward has that very emotional touch to the text, it's right. But then you still need the human touch in this very particular regard. So in one sentence, we just have to train our student to be ethically upright.
Okay, sorry. If I may have a rider to that, Prof. It's like catch 22 for me. As you just come up with it now, I'm just thinking, if AI is going to be getting this done, why do you want to force the human to be thinking about creativity? Why wouldn't that same human deploy the brain to something else? Why are you reinventing the wheel, for example? So if I have a tool that can go through a particular research, it's just like production. You've got a tool that can cut trees, and we say because we want the human to know how to cut trees, you are not going to use the machinery to cut the trees. You want that guy to use his raw hand to cut the trees. I'm just trying to see how can we find a nexus such that you don't force humans to go through the rigors of what the AI can achieve. Why wouldn't the human channel that brain to something else that be more productive? I don't know how we can balance that, because it's a case of just forcing people to be going through the hard way if the AI can make it simple.
So the creativity aspect is here. Let me pick Midjourney, which is a design tool, right? So depending on what you are asking the AI to do for you, that's when you get the right thing. So I talked about prompt engineering. If you're not creative in asking questions, you might end up getting an open-ended information. So that's where creativity comes into play. For those that are into design, if you're not a designer and you pick Midjourney and you want to create a flyer, just put in the information, create this from, it's going to definitely give you something. But then as a designer that has a creative mind, you put in the touch of creativity to get a perfect touch of what you are looking for. I can understand from the angle you are coming from, why do this when this can do this. The fact is that, what do you call it? AI itself cannot do it all. We still need the human touch in whatever we do. And the human we still remain relevant as long as the world still continue. So that very critical thinking and creativity, it's needed, because now I think part of the article, there's this very particular argument. Instead of you having so many people in the team, it can be only you and the AI that can do that for you. Let's pick the film industry. You have writers, you have producers, you have directors, you have film. You can just be the only person. You have the AI write for you, you have the AI produce for you, and other things.
I'm
All
going
right.
to say something.
Thank you very much, sir. I think we are running out of time. So please,
I think we can just take like Dr. Musa and Dr. Sharafaddin can we just let both of them to give their opinion, please?
Okay, no problem. So can we have them?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
My name is Abdul Musa. I'd like to appreciate Dr. Umar for his wonderful presentation. I'm an AI researcher and I'd like to thank the organizer, Sister Zaina, for equally inviting me. I think I just want to talk about, I mean, a recurring decimal, I'll call it, which is if you have an AI, why do you want to ask people not to make use of it? Dr. Omar tried to say, oh, we should use it, and stuff. But again, I was surprised. He's saying that in his university, they're asking students not to use it, or they are even getting some apps or Turnitin to confirm whether they've made use of it or not, and all of that. The truth is that revolution, there is nothing you can do to stop it. So what we need to begin to look at is, like somebody said, we don't need to reinvent the wheels, but the approach must definitely change. What am I talking about? What have we been testing before has to change. And that is why in most cases, you see that Nigeria is always caught. I mean, whenever the party is over, that's when Nigeria arrives. Up till today, we are training graduates to suit colonial masters' need. In our universities, there is a CCMAS that has just been launched. I went through the CCMAS. CCMAS is replacing BMAS, our curriculum. When you go through CCMAS, you realize that, yes, brilliant efforts, but even before we launch it, I'm sure many universities have not even started implementing it, but it has become obsolete already. What I'm saying in essence is that you cannot stop people from using AI. It's not possible. There is no amount of measure you put in place that will stop it. We need to get that fact correctly. There is no university all over the world that will be able to say, look, this is what we are doing to stop it. Instead of discouraging people from using it, allow them to make use of it. But like I said, what you've been testing before will now change. If before what you've been testing is the writing skill of your students, what you've been testing before is how many literature can this student review in so number of days or weeks. That has to change now. What have you been testing before? Like I said, okay, I have a student, a postgraduate student, that I know his capacity. Each time I give assignments in less than 1 day, he's turning out results. I know greatly that is AI enhanced. So if before now, let's say 1-2 years ago, what I'm testing is, okay, how well can you, search the internet to get relevant literature, to digest it, and also come up with maybe the methodology, the strengths, the weakness in that paper. And I know I have a size space that can do it for me in a tuku. So that has to change. I give you an instance of when calculator was invented. It was fought against. Yes, when calculator was invented, they said, no, we cannot allow our students to make use of it. And teachers were like, this will never happen because it's going to take up our job and whatnot. Now, the question is, will you have still agreed with such people who said calculator should not be allowed? Should we still be using 4-figure table? So that's exactly what is playing out now. There is now AI, and we're saying our students should not make use of it because of this and this. And no. What we need to begin to look at, like I emphasized, what are we testing before? I'm glad Dr. Umar made mention of the assignment, calling people that come and write it. There are universities today that will say, okay, Viva Voce is compulsory. There are universities that they don't have to invite you to come and do defense of oral defense. Whatever you've written is fine. Examiner will look at it and then you'll be awarded a master's or PhD. But those universities are now saying no, because of advent of AI, we'll be, awarding AI these PhDs, these degrees, and not the student himself. So they are now reconsidering what are they going to be testing to ensure that they do not end up awarding an AI tool instead of the student himself. It is not for me as a Musa or for Dr. Umar to say these are the things we'll now be testing. It is beyond individuals. It is what I can tell you that universities all over the world and even governments that are serious anyway are supposed to, are already deliberating on, So this is one very important thing I think I should talk about. Then the fear of creative thinking. Some people believe that because of AI, then that is going to drop. But I tell you, there are people who feel otherwise. And I think I also lean towards that. When today you see what students are bringing out from AI, and you are also looking at how best you can, tax these students further, it means that the knowledge generation itself is improving. It means that resources are available to students. That's why these days you can have people having their PhDs in 2 years, in 3 years, compared to the olden days where it has to be 4, 5 years. Availability of information at their disposal was quite limited. So these are issues that need to be, and that's why, for instance, in the universities, before now, they will tell you 12 papers is okay to have your professor. But you see, when they realize that in less than 1 year, somebody can come, with 5, 6 papers, and these are things that practically was almost impossible before. So universities now look at it and say, okay, we need to increase the number of paper production. So now that you have SciSpace or PaperPal that can do that for you in 3 minutes, and then I can sit down in 1 day and turn out 20 papers that they want for professorship, universities again will need to tinker with that requirement. So this, I think I want to really highlight it, because like I said, it's not a question that either of us here, participating in this platform can actually. I think I attended a conference at Niles. I'm not too sure, in Abuja, either Nile or base. I'm not too sure. And this issue too came up. And that's part of just quite recently, late last year, these issues came up. And I can tell you, in every AI forum, it has always come up. So we need to now, on a final note from my end, ensure that the same, you see, in Yoruba parlance, they say, Owawe, Lafisa Lalejo. How can you begin to use AI to also enhance critical skills? And then also making sure that the human part of it touches that AI in itself. For instance, me being an AI expert, once you use AI tools, by mere looking at it, I will know. I don't need any AI app or Turnitin to detect, whether you've used AI tools or not. I had a first-class student who I asked him to write, I'm sorry I'm taking our time. I asked the student to write, what's it called? He needed me to write a reference for him. So I said, okay, go and draft it, because that's what I do for my students. Go and draft, then let me have it. Then I'll put my own touches on it. Ordinarily, I know he writes very well, and he ended up using AI tools. I don't have a problem with that. I always tell my students, go and use AI tools. In fact, I tell them, don't use one. Somebody is talking about bias. So that's a solution to issue of bias. Get minimum 2, 3. You have BARD, you have ChatGPT, you have your maybe Perplexity or another one. And then you can now look at these 3 and pick the one that you know is okay. That way, we are seeing the human face of, whatever you have made use of AI tools for. So he ended up getting the response from AI tools. He edited quite well. But there was where I caught him. These tools he used, they have a respect for, is it LGBTQ and this other whatever in the Western world. Having to say a guy or a woman, and then they just go ahead and use their. We've been having these issues. Instead of using he or she, they prefer to use their. So that was where I got to know that, oh, this must have been, because it's a bias. It's people who support LGBTQ. They will also integrate this kind of bias into it. Unfortunately for us as consuming country, we just keep looking. But for us to link, to also really do something quite different. Let's not end our discussion to even discouraging them from using it, such that the whole world has actually finished the marketing of AI. We are still in the process of debating whether we should use it or not to use it. Assalamu alaikum. That's my contribution.
Wow. Alaikum
Salam.
salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That was extensive. Jazakallah khairan, bro.
Thank you very much.
All right. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum assalam.
Sorry, before we part,
Yeah,
can I please challenge all of us on this platform to see the last professor that spoke, Professor Umar, that presented? Can we as a group, in this particular group, begin this kind of process? How we can encourage our Muslim researchers to start applying AI positively to improve, firstly, our academic work, and secondly, humanity. I don't know. I just want a situation where we can take a step from this group so that we just don't throw away all the beautiful presentation we have had. May Allah make it easy for us. Thank you, sir.
all right. That's a very good one. We might not stop here. Perhaps we'll have to invite Prof Musa to also give us more lectures on this to sensitize our people on this. I think that will be really helpful. So thank you. Let me thank the organizers and those that have contributed, especially our guest speaker, Dr. Umar. Jazakumullah khaira. So my question is this. I hope you can hear me, Dr. Umar.
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, so there was a time I was trying to use the one of the AI tools to get a literature review for some of my one of my papers. So, and when I used it, I gave the question and this thing came up very nice things I'm familiar with the topic I was writing on. So I even told say, okay, put the reference within the text, which it did. But to my surprise, I tried to confirm, for the ethical reason, let me confirm. It did the referencing perfectly, the bibliography, everything. But when I check those papers, most of the papers there, they did not exist. The topic, the way you put it, they did not exist. But then it was arranged perfectly for a whole paragraph, or even not even a paragraph, maybe 2-3 paragraphs. So all the references, I tried to cross-check to even see the paper myself and cross-check 1 or 2 things. But I found out that most of those papers, but it will give you the title, everything. So how do you, I don't know if you have experienced that. How do we solve such a problem?
I guess you use GTP3, right? 3.5.
No, I use BARD. This
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, so that is what they call a hallucination, which is really true. And what they did right now, I think at the top of each and every page, they tell you that, okay, this is not, how will I put it, the final valid, or what do you call it, reference. Is it reference or evidence you can use? So the fact is that what you did was the right thing to confirm if those very particular paper exists. I guess it's landed a lawyer in US into trouble. The same thing. He used references that did not even exist in the whole case, and that landed him in trouble. So for whatever we do, we've talked about the ethical consideration. It's verifying that very particular information, most especially for literature. You just have to go back, confirm, okay, this very particular source exists and it's valid. That is really true. So whatever is for whatever search I do, it gives you that very particular reference. You go to this you find out the source. Once you ask for the source, it will refer you to the original source. If there is an original source, let's say IEEE Explore or Web of Science, what do you call it, library, or ACM.
Google Scholar.
Google Scholar. So you go there, you ensure that the paper is real. Don't just copy and paste, right? So that's why what do you call it? The emphasis on ethical consideration is very important. And most of the times that will happen. And for the students, their goal is just to finish on time. So it's basically going to be copy and pasting, confirming, ascertaining that these very references are real. It's another work on its own. But then as a researcher, it's something we have to do. So that is hallucination, which is true. And they've made it clear. Yeah, it's not everything you get from the internet that is directly 100% true. And that's why, what do you call it? Other tool that allow you to do the brainstorm is you get the PDF yourself, you upload this very PDF, you are sure this is a real paper, and you talk to the PDF, right? You communicate with the PDF. So it reduces the amount of time you spend in reading the PDF itself. So instead of getting reference directly from GTP 3.5 or above. Get the article yourself from this very particular libraries, download the PDF and use the PDF to do the talking. I hope that help out. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll come and see you, Dr. Umar.
You're welcome, sir.
All right.
Sorry, Dr. Umar, are you in Newcastle?
Newcastle, I'm in Nigeria.
Oh, you said Northumbria, so I was wondering if you're in Newcastle.
No.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Umar and every other scholars who have contributed. The time is fast spent, so we need to round up. But before we go, I just want to say that for those who are just new to MIRA, MIRA is a group for the Muslims who are academic researchers and all, and you want to keep having this opportunity and benefits like the one we had tonight. So feel free to chat in the box. The admin is going to pick your mail. You can share your mail, and the admin is going to pick that up, and you'll be communicated on how best to also be part of MIRA. So on this note, inshallah, we are going to call it a day. We want to appreciate everyone for your time and for being part of this session. I want to believe that we have all learned. There's somebody that posted about some of the key points that was noted. Please, if you're on the group, you can also share on the group for some of us to also pick some points there. And I don't know if Dr. Umar will be willing to also share the slides, because I know there are some key points that some of us didn't get properly. So we would appreciate if you can also have that. Thank you very much, sir. We say Jazakumullah khairan to everyone for your time. May Allah make us successful in all our endeavors. For those of us who are still in the journey, may Allah make it easy for us. For those of us who are scholars already still contributing to knowledge, may Allah make it easy for you and bless every one of us. And may Allah make us a contributor to knowledge as far as the Muslim and the Ummah is concerned. On this note, we say Jazakumullah khairan. The admin, please, people have been dropping their mail. I'm sure you are going to pick it up. So thank you, and thank you everyone for your time. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum assalam. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Umar.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.